Hey there, how's it going? Welcome back to the world. In the last episode, I started working on my new tree farm project. For this one, I have a plot for each different tree type, and these plots are set at different heights, so when it's all put together, they look like connected cliff sides. And as for the actual terraforming work that I did, I only did the south side of the acacia plot. Then after that, I worked on my nether mountain for the remainder of the episode. But that now begs the question, where are we now? Well, I have finished the entire acacia plot, and I've almost finished the whole dark oak plot. The bulk of the work was done over here, wrapping around this corner and going into this little valley, whatever you want to call it. And this actually had to be dug out. It was a lot higher before. So I dug it out just so I could continue the river, and it actually ends up connecting into a ravine down here. I have a couple ideas about what I want to do with it, but for the time being, I'm pretty much just going to leave it. So yeah, it's all done through there, looking very nice. Like I said, the acacia plot is all done. And I've got the backside of the dark oak plot over here that I need to finish. And then the opposite side also needs to be done. I also threw in a little bit of water coming out of the cliff sides here just to give it a little bit of interest and see how it looks. I did more of a waterfall thing over here, and I don't think I like that one as much. So I'll mess around with that a little bit, but that was a little random idea I had. And another thing that I'm trying to figure out is, as you can see on the left, the cliff sort of goes straight down into where the river will eventually be. Whereas on the other side, it sort of curves in a little bit, and that's how I have it for the rest of the plot for the time being. I'm deciding which I want to do. Right now, what I'm thinking is I'll probably do a combination of both. So I'll basically have some come in at a curved angle and others will just go straight down. And overall, it'll make the look of the river a lot more interesting because it'll be all zigzag shaped. In theory, I don't know, we'll see. I put it together here and it looks pretty good. The only thing that it's missing is water. There we go, much better. Also, I turned off my shaders just so it was a little easier to see, but I'm gonna switch them back on real quick. I'm using Builder's QOL shaders for anyone that cares, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, a little bit harder to see underwater, but that's about the most terraforming that I'd like to do for today. I'd still like to work on the tree farm today though. God damn, the sunsets look good. So anyways, I have storage for all of these tree farms sprinkled around the plots. This was just something temporary, quick and dirty, but it's about time that I actually put these into a proper place. And I'm gonna go ahead and start at the acacia plot. So I went ahead and put together the basic layout here. I just dug into this existing cave that I had and did a basic mine shaft setup. And this connects all the way down to the other cave that I have. Back over here, I have a sign that indicates storage. And if we follow that down, we have our basic storage layout. When I first dug this out, I did it over here to begin with, and I quickly realized that that wasn't gonna work for obvious reasons. In the middle, I've got a basic bulk storage unit for the logs. Up top, I've got this inconspicuous little button here, and if I press it, boom, it opens up a chest, and this will feed into the bulk storage unit. So when I'm farming trees and I get the wood that I want, I'll take the wood, throw it in here, and it'll end up down here. I'm gonna have saplings in this barrel and leaves in this barrel, and if there's ever any overflow, I'll throw them into this composter over here. Originally, I was thinking about doing just bulk storage units for all of these items, but I decided against it. Here's why. I'm about to rant for a second. As much as I love hoarding things, storage has become an increasing issue where I'm just storing too much stuff and it's getting out of hand, meaning that what I need to do is be more realistic about storing stuff that I need to and not overdoing it. If we're talking about saplings and leaves, I really don't think I need more than a barrel of each. If I do end up needing more than that, then I'll just target farm the item until I have the amount that I need for a project, but I'm still at a baseline only holding on to a minimal amount. Okay, rant over. So at this point, it's only a matter of decorating everything. Let's do it. Nice. I went for a simple shelving layout, and I did it keeping in mind that I wanted to replicate it for all of the other wood types. Oh, look at that. I missed a spot. I better go to my secret ender chest here. Nice. Anyways, we got granite walls because I wanted it to feel like all of the cliff sides are just solid granite that we're digging into here. And I also added some plants on the shelves just to put in a little bit of greenery, which I ended up incorporating into the hallways as well, just to break it up and make it look a little bit more interesting. Again, I wanted this to be accessible from either side of the plot, so we enter from this pathway over here, or also from this pathway on the opposite side here. And this is what I ended up doing for all of the other plots. Dark oak enters on this side and that side. Birch enters here and here. Jungle enters here and there. Spruce enters here and there. Oak enters here and there. Here are the interiors. Here are the hallways. Here's a seat. Sit down. Let's talk. So originally, my plan was just to get the storage into place and not spend a lot of time on the tree farm today, but that didn't end up happening. The big thing was that in order to access the side of some of these cliff sides, I really needed to figure out how the adjacent terraforming would connect to it. So I took an aerial screenshot of the area, threw it into Photoshop, and started sketching. The big thing that I needed to figure out was how I was going to reroute this river here because it affects everything. And ultimately, this is what I decided upon. I wanted it to curve up just a little bit and connect with the river on the east. Then it was just a matter of laying out the different biomes. So I wanted to extend the snow biome out over to here. I wanted this all to be desert. I wanted this to also be desert, but I wanted it to be a cliffside so it could connect these two pieces together. And then on the end here, we have two different land bridges that would connect into the spruce plot and a mountain to mark the edge between this area and the dead biome. There's also this weird spot in the middle here, and that was essentially just me designating that I had no clue what I was gonna do with it, but this was enough to get me going. And so after I had it all planned out, it was only a matter of getting to work.
And that brings us to where we are right now. This project isn't 100% complete yet, but it is definitely in its final stages and it's looking really cool. I went ahead and removed all of the trees because I replaced all of the torches underneath these carpets with jack-o'-lanterns. I did that because if I go ahead and replace this jack-o'-lantern with a torch again, then put on a texture pack. This isn't the case with every texture pack, but some of them have torch animations and it actually shows through the carpet. So I don't know, I just wanted it to be clean and I didn't want it to be an issue, so jack-o'-lanterns. I also added this border around every plot, partly to serve as a pathway and also to make a nice border. And of course, I matched the wood to their respective plots. Another thing worth mentioning is that the layout of the tunnels varies depending on the plot. For example, the birch plot goes in a straight line from one end to the other and the storage is just a dead end. Whereas for the jungle over here, you'll actually take a turn and walk through the storage area to get to the other side. The reason why I did this is because not all of the plots are accessible straight from one end to the other, so I messed around with it a little bit and eventually I landed on the final layout, which we see here. I also added another row of beacons because these ones didn't quite reach all the way back, which means I'm gonna have to do more digging at the bedrock project. But that's a later me problem. Hey, I'm gonna have to ask you to sit back down because we got more to talk about. I've updated my world again. I was on 1.15, the B update, but now I'm on 1.16, the Nether update. I'm on my way to getting this world all the way to 1.19, and this is a great milestone, especially because it means that I can now use the replay mod. Something that I've clearly already taken advantage of. Oh yeah, and I guess I can also play around with a bunch of Nether stuff too, so you know, there's that. Now, before I updated my world, I actually did a little bit of prep work. By using a program called MCA Selector, I was able to go into my world file and delete Nether chunks that I didn't want. That way, when I updated my world, those chunks would respawn to the new Nether biomes. Now, most of the chunks that I deleted was just inconsequential terrain that wasn't close to my Nether tunnels, but the one exception to that was a big long tunnel that went all the way out to an ice spike biome. I had built this back in 1.12 when packed ice was a lot more rare, but now it's of a little interest and I had no issue deleting it. Before I did that though, I did venture out one last time to check it out, and I had already polished it almost completely clean, so I decided that it was only reasonable to harvest the last remaining ice spikes and say goodbye. And on my way back, I figured I'd gather the materials from the tunnel, and that's when I realized it was made out of blue ice, which made me infinitely more thankful that I went back there. Blue ice is made out of 9 packed ice, big expensive. And after I harvested all of that good stuff and got a very nice haul, I could go back to MCA Selector and delete. I also went ahead and deleted the overworld chunks for the ice spike biome as well as a jungle biome that I had ventured out to a long time ago. I have no reason to go back to either of these areas, and I'm deleting them more in preparation for when I update my terrain to the Caves and Cliffs update. But that's a little bit down the road, let's not get too hasty, because right now we have another update to worry about. And so after I updated my world, I started flying around and inspected all of the terrain changes. And for the most part, it turned out really great. There were just a few areas that I ended up nitpicking a little bit, which essentially just involved me tabbing between MCA Selector and the game, deleting chunks, seeing how it looked in game, going back and forth until it looked good. I ended up spending over half an hour working on this. TLDR, the physical nether terrain doesn't change, only the biomes within them. Meaning when there's a line between old terrain and new terrain, there might be a line that goes straight through a biome. So basically, my process involved finding the edges of biomes and making sure all of the new chunks surrounded that area. And finally, when it was all said and done, this is what the final product looked like. Which finally brings us to where we are right now. So before I end the episode, there's one last thing that I'd like to do. As I've mentioned before, my central tree is pretty much useless beyond the first 2 levels here. I've got an enchanting room that I never use. This floor is an alchemy room, if you really even want to call it that. And the top floor is completely empty. I don't have any good ideas for what to do with the top 2 floors, but I do have a good idea for this one. First things first, I gotta clear it out. Nice. It's not like I ever used this enchanting room anyways. And what I went ahead and built was 2 different note block tunes. One that plays in the morning time and one that plays in the nighttime. I've always wanted to do something like this on my world, a little day and night lullaby, but I've waited until I figured out the right songs to use. And I'm pretty happy with my choices here. So let's see, we got the nighttime and the daytime. If you know what either of those songs are, let me know down in the comments. And I'm done making content for you. For today.
I'll be back. You know the drill. Support the channel if you feel that it deserves it, or don't do anything. You're still giving me views. But anyways, that is it for this video. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.